Hey everyone, I am with Dr. Cowan and I'm just so pumped because every time I talk to you, I always learn more about myself and about the human body and optimal performance. And I learn what you're up to and the latest science of everything. So you've been helping me out. For those people listening who don't know, you've been helping me out with stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm having a flashback to when I first met you and I thought I was good. And then you were like, look at this data. I think there's some things we can help you with. But for those people who don't know you, can you just, I don't know, give the, couple minute introduction? Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a naturopathic doctor by training, and then I also have functional medicine training. I have a license in pharmacology and IV therapy and a bunch of other things too. So, and I owned a clinic called Phenom High Performance Medicine in Burlington, and we work with patients virtually all over Ontario. And I have a staff of 5 other doctors on staff with our team. A mental performance coach and also strength and conditioning coach too. And our whole thing is about optimization. So how do we take someone from where they're at and really take them to new heights? And I think I started with you probably like 8 years ago or so, Tom. I'm in my 12th year of
Might be
practice.
long. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in my 12th year of practice now. So I split my time between sort of clinical hours there and mentoring our team. And then I also work in professional sports too. So I work as a performance doctor in the NHL and then also for the OHL as well. And just have been lucky enough to work with so many cool people over the years and a lot of UFC fighters, Olympic athletes, champions in different sports. And we've really taken all of that information and that data and applied it to the general population. So if we can get those people to excel, we're confident that we can get anyone to improve. So we have a lab testing based method. So we look at blood samples, saliva samples, stool samples, urine tests, different ways of assessing where someone is at. And then we also do a whole host of conventional blood tests, like similar to your family doctor would do, just to get an idea where people are and how much better they can be. And that's kind of our motto. So people have no idea how much better they could feel and perform.
Okay, great. So, and then, so without giving away, I don't know, any proprietary approach to how you deal with people, is there, for someone listening to this who just says, you know what, I'd like to be performing a little bit better. I'm not the NHL athlete. I'm not a young, person playing in the OHL. I'm not like, Olympic weightlifting or fighting in the UFC. What's the approach? Because I remember when you broke it out for me, I had never thought of it that way. Like I was always up until that point looking for the easy pill. Like I was before meeting you, I just thought, okay, I'll look into these biohacking solutions and I understand what ketones are. So if I just take these things that give me more ketones that feed my brain some energy, I'm going to be great. And I kind of didn't pay attention to like adrenal glands or digestive system and stuff. And then you kind of broke it out in a really nice way. Is that something you're able to share, or just to give everyone like a picture of like how you look at the human body to make it perform optimally?
For sure. Yeah. There's some foundational things that really are going to make someone make leaps forward in how they feel and function. So we look at sort of the core things. So gut health, hormone health, and liver detoxification. Like those three are kind of the pillars that prop up how you're going to feel and function on a daily basis.
So repeat that one more time. I just want to make sure everyone got that.
Yeah. So gut health, hormone health, and like liver detox, like those three systems really are going to drive how you feel on a daily basis. So we look at those areas first because most people have trouble in one or more of those areas. Even professional athletes who have every resource available to them still have issues in all those areas. So we'll kind of look there first, and then we'll kind of work outward from there. So we'll kind of.
And is there an order to gut, hormone, and liver that you look at?
Not really. It's kind of depending on where someone is at. So when we do an initial assessment with someone, we're very good at honing in on what areas are like what issues are happening, and then we can kind of narrow in on a system. Like if you're having chronic low energy, you're not sleeping well, we might look at some hormone stuff. If you're having bloating or IBS or issues that way, we might look right at the gut system. If you're having trouble with metabolism or brain fog or processing alcohol, we might look at liver, things like that. So with our general population, we're very good at narrowing in on what system we want to approach first, and then we'll lab test that system. So if it's gut health stuff, well, we might stool test you. We might look at,
And what would you find? Yeah, what would you find when you're doing these tests? Like, what is it in the gut that you're looking for?
Yeah, so in the gut, you may see like a bad balance of bacteria. It's quite common. You may be missing good levels of gut bacteria. You may have too much of bad bacteria. You might have candida or yeast or viral load or even parasites, which are less common, but you might have something like that going on there, which is typically the case.
So for me, you put me on like a 30-day like no sugar diet or something that was horrible. Like it was absolutely horrible. But that was to kill off some yeast candida thing, or what was it?
Yeah. So that was way back in the day. So
but that really helped me. Like that set the foundation, I feel like, for me. What were we doing?
Yeah, so you had a yeast overgrowth in the gut. You had bad bacteria. This is like 6-7 years ago, if I can remember. And we sort of got rid of all that. So we'll do like a gut sort of reset in 2 phases. We'll kill off all the bad stuff, and then we'll replenish the gut with good bacteria and replenish the gut lining and things like that, so you can keep it that way. And that's the big thing too. We're looking for solutions for people. Like you haven't mentioned those things for a long time because
no, I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have to revisit that stuff? Like I've never felt like I've had to.
Yeah. Very often with patients, we can improve things like that are happening in the gut, and then they forget about it. It's like we've corrected it. It's moved on. They've improved those things. So you don't really bring it up again, but there are certain things that we look at on a yearly basis, and we're really careful on personalizing everything. So whatever things that you've got going on, we can isolate those and correct those. And then we're looking for things on our side to be at optimal levels as well. As opposed to a professional athlete, like some of the teams that I work with, will just do all the tests on each player.
Oh God.
Whereas a general population, like let's say there's 7 core tests we do, we might do 2 of them with you that are really going to make the biggest improvements in how you're feeling and what you're coming to us for. But most people are coming in for energy issues, bloating, can't get rid of the belly fat, weight loss issues, sleep issues, inflammation problems, hormone issues, things like that are most common. But we really individualize it. We customize it.
Okay. So once someone has cleaned up their gut, is there, like, I know for me, and I'm going to talk about blood in a second, we've been looking at my blood, we've been looking at my cortisol levels and that kind of stuff through a couple different tests. Do we need to be revisiting anything for me specifically on my gut, do you think, right now?
Yeah, probably do a gut test maybe once a year, once every 2 years with you, Tom. Like you haven't really had any gut complaints specifically for a while, but it's good to see how that is over time.
And that's another stool sample?
Stool test is the best way because you can see what's happening.
And that stool sample, man. It's gotten better. It's not like the freaking French fry box that they sent before. I don't know if you remember those early tests. It was like, what the hell what is in this package? What is this? But it has gotten a lot better. Whatever the last
Yeah, it's a good way of seeing what's happening there. And with gut health, it really influences everything, right? So the way your gut is working will impact how you're thinking, your mood, your focus, your attention, the whole gut-brain connection. Mm-hmm. And then the whole gut immune connection too, right? 80% of your immune system's in the gut, and 90% of your serotonin is made in the gut.
Yeah, that picks me up so good. But that 30-day no sugar thing you put me on, that was absolutely horrendous. I'm not going to lie. Like I didn't enjoy a single second of that. You know how people will say, well, at the end, it'll get better, it'll get easier. No, like the whole 30 days. But I'm very grateful that I did it. Like I'm very, very grateful. And I would do it again. If you told me to do it again, I would do it. But I'm the type of person who likes to do things that are good for me, but I like to complain the whole time I'm doing it. Yeah, when I go to the gym, I look at what we're doing that day at the gym. I'm well known at the gym for this. I will complain like this is garbage. This is stupid. You should pay me for coming here. Why am I paying you? You know, the whole bit. Then I'll go and do it. I just need to get that out of my system.
Yeah, and I'll take the complaints to get you to the other side, right? A little bit of short-term pain, long-term gain type of thing. But yeah, and we don't even do that. The new research is showing that you don't have to go to a no-sugar diet to get rid of it.
No way.
Anymore. Yeah. So we haven't done that in like 6-7 years.
No.
That was probably the hardest thing we've ever done with people because, you're trying to starve out the yeast and candida. But now we can make our protocols stronger where we can kill off the yeast. And that's common. Really? If people use antibiotics a lot, it'll kill off your good bacteria. And if you have a little bit of yeast over in the gut, it'll take over that space and it'll proliferate. So
now there's just some natural stuff I can take that will kind of dry or starve it out.
Yeah, you can, like, we'll use caprylic acid or we use different botanicals to kill off the yeast now. And if you, as long as you're using the right dosages, you can get rid of those things without changing the diet too much. As
Okay.
long as you're not eating bags of candy as you're trying to kill
Yeah,
off the
yeah,
yeast.
got it.
As long as you're eating a normal diet, we can go in and remove everything. And then we retest it to make sure and see. So all of our protocols are based off of testing and retesting and what the latest research is showing, and we adjust our methods all the time. So we meet with our team every 3 weeks. So we look at all the new research. Here's how we got to adjust what we're doing. Here's how we can be better. So we're constantly improving all those things all the time. Okay. So that's why that's not in place.
Yeah, which is why I love you guys. Okay, so then that's the gut. Now, when you move over to the hormone, what are you checking on hormones? Like, what are the kinds of things? I think for me, it was like when I first met you, my adrenal glands were just like not even functioning or something. I remember you using like the image of your fist, just saying they're like tight and they weren't releasing cortisol properly.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a misnomer in terms of like how it gets explained, but essentially you're metabolizing cortisol too quickly. So cortisol is going to be your main driver for your alertness and energy throughout the day, and then at nighttime, melatonin is your main driver for sleep and deep sleep. So cortisol is your daytime, and melatonin is your nighttime. So the problem with cortisol, though, is if you have chronic stressors, like all of us do, you end up using up those, you metabolize cortisol too quickly, and it leaves you drained and tired and wired and fatigued, and also causes sleep problems. So we often look at this with people, especially if energy is their first concern. We'll check there right away, because if you have stress coming at you from different angles, it will take a toll on that system. And we do a saliva test. So you do a morning sample, noon, at dinner time, bedtime sample, and you can see that how much hormones being released at those times. And
because in the morning I'm supposed to have a certain amount. We redid mine recently, and it was like shockingly pretty in line, just because of everything I've been through with you. I think the morning it's supposed to be at a certain amount, so that when you open your eyes in the morning, you feel like getting out of bed. You're not like dragging, and then it goes up until lunch, and then it kind of works its way down, and then by like in between 6 and 10 p.m. it kind of trails off, I guess, for the evening. Is that the right cycle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a circadian rhythm is what it is, right? Sun up, sun down is the driver. Like the light is the driver, but the light triggers hormone release, which basically tells your body what time of day it is, and you should be up and getting going. So when the sun comes up in the morning, our eyes read the sunlight, you get a surge in cortisol that wakes you up and gets you out of bed in the morning. And then you get the slow decline over the day. And then at nighttime, it drops below a threshold when the sun goes down, and then melatonin takes over. So we had 2 cases yesterday where people had high cortisol at night on their lab testing. So they're unable to fall asleep, or they're more alert at night and they don't want to go to sleep because their brain is on. Whereas during the day, if their output is low, they're tired. At nighttime, cortisol goes high. It's the reverse of what you're supposed to have happen. But then it really plays a big role in messing with your sleep. So,
and they wanted to reset it, because some people I think just like to live that way, but these people wanted to reset it to be a more normal circadian rhythm.
Yeah, like the odd person doesn't mind that. Like I have one patient who's like a graphic designer. He likes doing all of his work at the middle of the night when everyone else is sleeping. Like he likes working from midnight until 3 or 4 in the morning. So then he can sleep in. So he's like the only guy where we'll leave his curve the way it is. But most people feel better if you lower the nighttime curve, get into deep sleep, and then you're more productive the next day. Like the problem is with people, if you're tired and fatigued all day, you can't get your work done, then you're up at night trying to get it done to catch up. Mm-hmm. Right. But if you can get it all done during the day, get a full night's sleep where you get all the benefits of that sleep when it's dark, when you're supposed to, then you have a full recharge for the next day again, and you can kind of go hard again the next day.
Okay, so then for the cortisol levels through the day, what happens when it's dark in the morning, it's dark at night, like kind of like we're entering the winter months now? Is there anything else that, like, lately I've been reading more and more about red light therapy and these kinds of things. Is there any additional things people should just have in their everyday life to kind of combat some of that stuff? Or is to you that a negligible thing?
No, especially in Canada, because obviously it gets so dark early in the year, right? But you can recreate the sunlight. So as long as you're getting 10,000 lux of light in the morning, which you can get from like like one of those lamps, like an LED lamp or artificial lamp. It recreates sunlight. So you can have that set up in the morning.
Artificial lamp? Like, are you talking about one of those red light therapy lamps?
Not red light, more of like a natural light. So it's going to give you 10,000 units of light, which replicates sunlight.
Okay. So is that a light you can buy like on Amazon or something?
Yeah, like on Amazon. Yeah, we'll actually have one, and a lot of our pro athletes travel with them. It's like the size of maybe like a small iPad, but you could just set it up wherever you're getting up.
Is there one you like that you would say the name of right now, or no?
It's not, I don't remember the name of it actually, but there's ones on Amazon like 40, $45, $50. They're not expensive, but you just, as long as you get one that has 10,000 lux of light. Lux is the unit for light, but that would replicate sunlight. And you just need about 10 or 15 minutes of indirect light from that. And the cool thing about that is as soon as your eyes receive that amount of light, the timer starts to go off for when your melatonin gets released for sleep. So it kind of like sets the tone for the day. Like, here's the bright light. Your brain knows at a certain number of hours from now, it's going to be dark and it's going to be sleep. So you can actually improve sleep by getting the first cue of the light there.
And how many minutes did you say? Was it 10 minutes?
10 or 15 minutes. You don't need much time. Yeah. Okay. And it can be indirect.
And is it literally right when you get up in the morning, you kind of hit yourself with this light?
Yeah, because you want to replicate when you want the sun to come up, right? So you can sort of create that for whatever time you're awake. But I just turn mine on like in our kitchen area. I just have it on in the morning while I'm making the kids breakfast and getting stuff ready. And then you're getting the light from that, which then will improve your sleep, which is pretty
So
cool.
You have one light in the kitchen that just hits everybody at the same time?
Yeah, I just flip it on and then it kind of spans outwards, and it's you don't have to stare right at it, so which is nice.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay, I'm used to some of the red light stuff where you're kind of like right in front of it. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so red light's a little bit different. Red light is kind of, you're getting to the cellular level, so you want it to be direct, or you want it to be on the area for like tissue healing or mitochondrial growth and things like that. So red light is really different. But along the light side of things, at nighttime, this is why you don't want to have blue light at night, because blue light at night does the same thing. It triggers your eye to release cortisol. So if you're sitting with your iPhone or iPad or computer right close to your face when you're trying to go to sleep, the signal to your brain is that the sun's up and you should be awake. That's why the whole blue light thing is there. Right, because you don't want.
So does it help if you're watching something in your laptop later at night? You know how they have like the different settings now on the laptop screens to kind of change that it's like not blue light coming out of the screen. Is that any of that useful or no?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it will shield.
I think it's like a filter that you can put on your screen or something. Like, no, I don't mean a physical filter. I think it's now like a setting on your computer now or your phone.
Yeah, that will totally help. Also, like just dimming your lights in your house and lowering the lights, like because you can use all the blockers you want, but if you have like bright surging lights everywhere at night, it's going to be too strong for even the blockers, or too strong for the glasses and too strong for all those things. And if you look at a lot of the European and Scandinavian countries, like at nighttime, they'll use lamps. Like they won't use the big overhead lights. They'll just turn lamps on in the house, or they'll turn like lower level light, like physically lower level, so you're not getting such a strong.
I remember going to see my family over in Croatia there, and at night, of course, they didn't really have a lot of lights to begin with. So at night, it was always like candles or fires and that kind of thing, like the classic like village life over there. But it was awesome because it was just always so calming. Like it was just like you just felt it different. It wasn't like this like big bright lights over your, if you're out somewhere, like if you're in a shopping mall in North America at like 8 p.m. and there's big lights on, you just feel gross.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel good, kind of. No. It feels like it's too strong.
Real estate investing isn't always easy, but it can be relatively simple. And that's where the Rockstar Inner Circle comes in. Look, there's a lot of real estate investing information out there these days. That's why it's so important to pick your sources wisely. And even though investing isn't always going to be the easiest process, it does not have to be super complicated. That's where tried, tested, and proven strategies like the ones that Rockstar members use come into play. Everything shared in the Inner Circle is built from firsthand on the streets experience in the current market. It's all up to date, things that people are actually implementing today. In fact, the ongoing courses are delivered live, so they're always up to date with the absolute latest real life experiences. As a Rockstar member, get ongoing access to over 20 different systems and programs covering things like like which properties investors like and why, our private rental system, what opportunities the investors are scooping up in student housing currently, the legal side of investing, why or how to use corporations as an investor, a mortgage class with the absolute latest options and programs to build your portfolio as an investor, because they're different than a regular home buyer. And there's a whole ton more in all those different classes. Of course, to implement all these strategies, members get access to unlimited private one-on-one coaching with an actual human experienced investor, not an AI chatbot, not ChatGPT or anything like that. It goes beyond training, classes, and real estate. It's a community for people looking to take control of their own finances, to give themselves options and allow them to live life on their terms. With ongoing live and virtual opportunities to connect, it's built for investors by investors. You can see everything members get at rockstarinnercircle.com/member. It's rockstarinnercircle.com/member. Now back to the show.
There's some cool studies that have been done on people with chronic insomnia as well, people who can't sleep. And they've taken them camping where you're under the natural circadian rhythm, sun up, sun down with no artificial lights. And you can have them go camping for like a few days and reset their whole sleep rhythm.
Oh, no way. Yeah,
people with chronic, like shift workers and chronic sleep problems, they go camping for a few days and can get back onto that natural sun up, sun down rhythm and get rid of the insomnia. So it shows you how powerful it is.
So on the, if we just stay on the hormone health for a second, and you know, we talked about cortisol, what is it that was going on? Like, I felt a little bit like at that time when my cortisol levels were off, I felt a little bit, it wasn't like angry. It was more like angst or anxious. Like what was that? What was happening to me there? Like, was that because I was supplementing with too much coffee and the cortisol was low and I was just off? Like, what was going on? Because when you fixed my adrenal glands, I felt like I had more energy and I was calmer.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were kind of redlining. You're running on adrenaline in those days.
Okay. So because my cortisol was like flat.
Yeah. It was like flat, right? So you had nothing. So when it's flat and the curve is really low, you're fatigued, but you're wired. You're tired, but wired. So like you're exhausted, but you're kind of anxious. You're kind of like high strung. It's hard to focus. You're a bit jittery, like that kind of thing. Not that you were like that.
No, that's how I felt. That was like, I guess like 7 years into starting Rockstar. It was just like the last 7 years of a family and starting a business just destroyed me. Yeah. And people end up doing it. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this. When you're like that, what you're doing is like, so I had a patient yesterday, she would fast until 2 p.m., just have coffee all morning, which is then going to get you to metabolize our cortisol so quickly. And then she was just feeling so anxious and so jittery by the afternoon that she was unproductive. So I actually reversed. I have her having a protein shake or a protein and high fat breakfast now, coffee a little bit after, and then we're boosting her curve up. So now her productive hours are like 8 hours. And then when she's starting to wind down at night, she can actually go to sleep and feel like she's in a good mood and focus the next day. Where before it was like she was grinding through it, thinking that she was doing things to improve her situation, but it was actually making it worse over time. It's kind of like how you were, because I think you were heavy into the butter coffee and ketones. I had it all figured out, Dr. Cowan. I had it all figured out.
Revamped everything. But your tests over the last few years have been pretty much perfect. Like your curve is really good. So energy is really good. You probably get up with energy now.
Yeah, I feel like it's sometimes shocking to me because I'll just open my eyes in the morning after a night of sleep now. And I'm like, I'm like totally ready to go.
Yeah.
Know,
it's such a funny thing because people just think, I'm not a morning person or I'm not a not a whatever person. But when you correct those things, you can have a lot of energy at all those points in the day and you can be effective during the day, leave your work at work and then relax at night, right?
Okay. So before we get to the liver, I just want to ask you a couple more questions. For me, part of that, what you taught me about my body was that after about 7 p.m., I need to stop eating. Because what was happening, I think you explained that like my body was just like processing the food and then, it was busy doing that and it wasn't like resting.
Yes.
So is that a common, first of all, can you describe that maybe a little bit better than I did? Like what was happening there? And is that common for everyone or is that just like so unique to different people?
So everyone's a little bit different in terms of that. I mean, the cool thing about today's technology is you can track those things. Like if you look at your HRV, because remember we were tracking your HRV.
That was the Whoop band and the Oura ring. I think back then it was the Whoop band where I could see, like if I ate at like 9:30, my sleep was ruined. specifically my deep sleep, which I always struggle with just as a person. But it would go down to I would get 9 minutes of deep sleep total.
Yeah, I remember those days, and then we increased it. But yeah, so if you have food in your system late at night, and late depends on the person, but then all your blood goes to your digestive tract to break it down, so it raises your core temperature. So then you're not able to get into deep sleep. Like your ability to get into deep sleep depends on your core temperature being as low as you can. That's why they say you should sleep in a dark room, a cool room, lower the temperature. People are using the chili pad and the sleep.
I think Sleep 8 is really popular now. Yeah.
Sleep 8 technology. And the whole point of that is to lower your core temperature. Right. Mm-hmm. So
someone Mike loves his Sleep 8, swears by the Sleep 8. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah. And Sleep 8 is the same company as Chili Pad, I believe, right?
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it is, yeah. So Chili Pad was like a portable version. You could lay it on top of your bed. It's like a cooling mat, and you can lower your core temperature, and then you could track it on your apps and your HRV to see how much deeper your sleep is. But I know a lot of the pro athletes I work with will travel with the Chili Pad. So if they're playing
so they're traveling with the Chili Pad and that light in the morning.
Yeah. Both, yeah, they'll throw it right in their carry-on or bag, because a lot of guys will bring the Normatec boots and the different things. They all have their sort of different things they'll bring, but that's a big one for especially for guys who aren't sleeping well. Chili Pad really helps.
Okay. Core temperature. I stopped wearing go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say I had one patient actually. He's a cardiologist, and he was tinkering around with HRV quite a bit. He actually figured out if he ended eating at 4 p.m., he could get his HRV the best. So that's a sort of a difference. I don't think everybody has to do that. And you can get caught up with all the tracking of everything, but
I had to take the tracking off because after years of tracking, it was becoming too much. So I just said, I'm not, and I wasn't learning as much anymore. I kind of figured it out, but now I want to go back. I should go back and put the Oura ring back on for a year and see over the next year, because I now know eating after 7, alcohol, basically any alcohol, almost at any time in the day, ruins my next night's sleep. I'm talking 1 glass of wine will just ruin my sleep. I still enjoy wine. So I sacrifice the sleep.
At least you know where it's coming from now.
Well, but it also helps when you know that about yourself, that if you're beat down, sometimes if I've been traveling this summer and into the fall, I traveled a lot. I just knew, okay, stop my eating at 7 o'clock, cut down on the alcohol on days where I really don't need to have a glass of wine with dinner. Yeah. And that'll just let me recover better. So you kind of learn these things about yourself. And if you can do that 2 or 3 days in the middle of a really busy period, it's helped me manage to not get to a point of redlining my body anymore, because it gives my body the ability to kind of catch up.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. We really want to teach people how to look for those things in themselves and create that awareness. If you feel like you're crashing, you kind of know what that is and how to recorrect, and we can assess things too. But to your point about the alcohol, alcohol and caffeine, genetically, people process them differently, right?
Yeah. So I'm definitely slow on alcohol. I'm decent. Yeah. You told me, I think the DNA test showed that I was medium on caffeine. I feel like I'm good on caffeine, but slow on alcohol.
Yeah, so that's a big factor. If you're a slow processor of caffeine, it'll stay in your system longer, so it will impair your sleep longer. So for some of those people, your morning coffee could impair your sleep.
That's wild.
Right? So if you don't know how, so we do a genetic profile, and you just have to do that one time in your life, because obviously it won't change. But then you can figure out if you're a fast or slow metabolizer of caffeine, which then will dictate when you're going to have it and when to use it, and performance-wise, how much you want to use. So for some of the NHL players that, metabolize caffeine really quickly, that we're not even using it. Some players are I don't use any caffeine. I just don't like it. I never have. I just have water and go and play. I've got them on 600 milligrams of caffeine. Now, if they're fast metabolizer, but then they love it. They're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I feel so much sharper, because you can tolerate it really well. But if you're a slow processor of caffeine, I'll be more careful with them. The amount, the timing, how is that going to impact your sleep? What does your HRV do when you do that after the game? So it's so individualized, and this is the way medicine's going, right? It has to be personalized, because people are so different. You could tolerate a lot of caffeine, so you can push that, but
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, it's a good feature. And some people who don't even know that, and who have just, for whatever reason, never had coffee, or the stigma around it, they don't want to get hooked on it or whatever, they could actually be using that as an advantage.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay, so and then on the HRV stuff, if I put the Oura Ring back on, I notoriously always had like low HRV scores, but I came to realize, I don't know, that was my range, and it like what would be a high score for me might be low for someone else. So on the heart rate variability, that's a sign of what? My nervous system and its state of recovery. That's what the scores are when you're reading your HRV in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So what it's tracking is heart rate variability. So the variability between heartbeats. So you want to be able to be flexible and go from parasympathetic to sympathetic, like active nervous system and rest nervous system. Mm-hmm. But if you're always in active and over sympathetic, overdrive, overstimulated, running on adrenaline, then your HRV will go lower. So the variability between beats will go lower. So you want to have a high HRV, shows you have a higher readiness, a higher ability to perform, a higher tolerance for stress, things like that. The lower it is, the more run down you are. I think yours was in the 40s when we started, but it was up to like 80. I think we got up to 80 plus, I remember, when we adjusted the timing of the last meal. And
yeah, I got to go back to it. Yes, we were able to get it higher. Yeah.
Shot right up, right?
I'm just naturally, I think, more of a wired person. I don't know. That's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is.
You're a highly motivated person, right? So you're going to be on to a lot of things and be pushing a lot of things and pushing the pace on a lot of things, right? But
I think something I've learned about myself is, years ago, the way we processed information was a lot of reading. And because I can read books, that's actually really relaxing. Reading books and taking in information, I could get through books really quickly. But now there's so much information available in the last few years that I can actually get lost in consuming a lot about a subject where it's an overwhelming amount. Like I've realized that about myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to go look into something like interest rates, I can go spend like hours reading lots about them, and it's just too much. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm fascinated by it. I'm enjoying it. Just not good for my physical state and my physical body. So I kind of have to balance that a little bit. I have a question for you. I might put it back on my HRV because what you said about that friend of yours or gentleman who stopped eating, I think at 4 p.m.
Yes.
And was really able to, I'm just curious. I might test myself with that just like for a little while, just to see if I wonder if what that is for me. I have a feeling that
it's worth trying it out. And technically, your digestive system kind of goes into maintenance and shut off mode as soon as the sun goes down. So technically, you should be eating when the sun is up, most of your food. Like that's kind of how you should be operating. And think about back in the caveman days when we didn't have artificial lights at night, you would have been forced to eat most of your food when you could see. You wouldn't be able to stay up and go to the microwave at midnight and put something in there and have it, right? Totally. So you have to eat all your food. But your body would actually work better in that scenario, but it's just hard, especially in Canada when it gets dark at 4:35 to finish if you have kids and the dinners after that.
There's so many going out, playing hockey, playing sports, coming home. It's tough. It's tough to keep it going. But I think the nice thing about this is once you have enough data about yourself, you just know, you're just like, okay, Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be a bit of a disaster. So maybe I got to dial it a bit in on Thursday and Friday and like get myself on track. Like that's what's helped me. And I've realized if I have a stressful period coming up, I will intentionally get my eating in line and my sleep in line on the time leading up to that. Whereas before, maybe I wouldn't pay as much attention and I would walk into a busy period thinking I was feeling okay, but I was really beat down. So now the data has really helped me kind of just match my behaviors to the weekly or monthly environment that I'm in.
Totally. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's over time, you start to, like, we want to gather key pieces of info for people, like what foods work best for you, what foods do you want to stay away from, what kind of things really tank your HRV, what kind of things mess with your sleep, how well do you process alcohol? There's a lot of factors there where you can sort of customize things for yourself. And to your earlier point too about the trendy things, like there's a lot of trendy things you can do, and we can always do those things later, but the big foundational pieces is where everyone's making mistakes and doesn't know, and you end up blaming your age or
disaster. Yeah. And people are like, oh, well, I can't tell you how many friends now at my age are saying, well, Tom, we're just getting older. And I'm like, I don't know, like we're getting older, but I don't think you have to feel the way you're explaining you're feeling to me. We have
patients in their 50s, 60s that are feeling like the best they felt, right? Like, actually, I just had a patient yesterday. she's dealing with a few different health issues, but we got her fasting insulin to about half of what it was. It was 250. We got it down to like 100.
And can you explain why that's important? Like what is that?
Yeah, so fasting insulin basically will determine if you're going to store body fat or not. So insulin is your fat storage hormone. So if it's running too high, you're going to be set to storage mode. So she couldn't lose weight no matter what she did. She was doing 10,000 steps a day, eating clean, doing all these different things. Nothing was budging. And she was actually getting into becoming type 2 diabetic. Like she was in the range of type 2 diabetic, right? And she was just like, that's it. There's no other things we can do. She's like 41 or 42. And so once I started high fasting insulin, we put her on time restricted eating. So eating certain windows of the day, lowering carbs, adding berberine, something called berberine, which will lower fasting insulin with her last meal and her first meal. And then we kept her walking going and lowered it by like whatever, 100 and something points. You want to get fasting insulin under 40 ideally, so you can stay lean. And if you can keep your insulin very sensitive, you can tolerate carbs really well. And there's just a whole host of benefits there. But I think the point is that people just feel like whatever position they're in, that's it. Like, oh, nothing else I can do.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know, just going to be overweight and I'm never going to change it. And right.
Yeah.
We have millions of cases of that with our patient base.
I have some people telling me at my age, I think I feel like they're just ready to die. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? Anyway. Okay. So I know there's way more to talk about on that subject, but I do want to move over to liver health. Why are you focused on the liver specifically? Because before it was like the gut, which to me is the whole digestive system, hormones, kind of the system. And now you've identified one organ, the liver. So what's the deal? Why are you highlighting the liver?
Yeah, well, liver is so influential, right? It's our filter, right? And with the state of the food and environment and toxins, we definitely are in a more toxic world kind of year over year than ever before, even with the types of food we have, air quality, water quality. So the liver just gets inundated. So these days, the stats are, I think it's still just about 40%, but about 40% of people have fatty liver, right? And
so what's that, just so everyone understands, fatty liver?
So fatty liver is the liver gets stagnant or sluggish and will start to store fat in it. And then it's supposed to be like a backup reservoir for, like in the old days, like in the caveman days, if you were coming across a large amount of food, your body would be able to eat all that food and store the excess carb as fat, like flip it to a fat and store in the liver. And then let's say the next week you couldn't find any food, you'd be able to mobilize that back out to use as energy to be able to get around and hunt. But these days we're inundated with food. So we've got toxic overload plus food overload. You start to store fat in the liver, and then from there it goes to visceral fat on the organs and things like that, which causes a whole host of problems. So you want to reverse that. And actually we have a cool new technology coming to our clinic where we can ultrasound the liver.
So, you mentioned that to me. I definitely want, whenever this is available, I would really want to be on that list of whatever getting in on that. And so then what do you do? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So the problem with fatty liver is the only way to diagnose it is you got to biopsy the liver. So blood testing would show it, but it wouldn't show it till its end stage, right? So you could look at liver enzymes and look at things like that, inflammatory markers, but they may not reflect at the time of when that's happening. Like it may take a while for those to go up and you've already got fat in the liver. So the ultrasound now, it only takes a few minutes, but there's a new technology where they can actually ultrasound right on the side of the liver and you can see how much fat's in there, how much fibrosis is in there.
God, I'm scared to do that. Yeah, got it. Cool.
Okay. But then you can work on improving that, right? Change dietary stuff, change lifestyle things, use certain nutrients to change that around. But yeah, fatty liver now is becoming more common. It used to be leaky gut. Now it's kind of called like a leaky liver. It's called, God. Which makes sense too, because gut and liver are directly connected, So most people have problems on the hormone side, whether it's cortisol, thyroid, testosterone, DHEA, female hormones, which then will trickle over into some gut stuff. And if you're there long enough and you overload the gut long enough, the liver has to help too. So then you kind of move down the chain.
Okay.
But yeah, the great thing is these days we have ways of assessing those things very quickly and making changes and most importantly, assessing those changes.
Okay, I'm interested in your opinion on this. Antidotally, I feel like it's benefiting me from taking glutathione with my liver. And I don't have data on this. I think I mentioned to you I was taking glutathione kind of regularly, and I was just feeling like that was I just feel like it's helping me process. And for me, it comes out in my skin a lot. Like if my liver gets clogged up, like you've seen over the years, or I've complained to you, I will break out on my face, and I feel like it's connected to my liver. Like we've done such a good job, I feel like, with my digestive system, my hormonal system, and there's always ways to correct that, and it kind of gets off track sometimes, but overall good. That liver has always been a bit of a struggle for me, and glutathione seems to be a supplement that helps me.
Yes.
What do you think when I say that?
Yeah, like glutathione is the master antioxidant, so it's going to help support liver function and protect it. So it's going to make.
But it's been hard to take, right? Like the forms to take it haven't been great. Correct?
Yeah. So you want to use a liposomal form, which I think you've been doing for a little while now, where it's emulsified in a fat, just becomes more effective that way. But yeah, the whole point of you eating antioxidant foods, people talk about eat blueberries, eat berries, eat all these, because it turns to glutathione.
Okay.
So your whole antioxidant ability is determined by how much glutathione you've got. So yeah, you can support liver that way. We often do I
love that you just said that. This is a way for me to conclude I can eat steaks and my fruits and nothing else and be happy. Eliminate the vegetables. That's the way I'm interpreting what you're saying, just so you know. I'm not saying that's what you said. That's what I'm choosing to hear. That's exactly how I'm taking it. I get to eat my steaks and I get to have my fruits and everything's great.
Yeah. You don't like carbs? No carbs?
No, I'll like carbs, but no, I'm not like a huge carb guy, except you've taught me and it's helped me. Do you remember when you said, I was like, Dr. Cowan, like I'm working out a lot at this gym and my throat's always dry. And you're like, well, how much carbs do you have? And I'm like, carbs, I don't want to touch carbs. And you're like, the word is carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And that night, and Nick was just rolling his eyes at me when I said this, because he was telling me to have more carb for like a year. And I went home, the next 2 days I had like a cup of rice.
Yeah.
And my dry throat that I had for like a year went away. Yeah. So now I do have carbs. I have like sweet potatoes, rice. I'll eat other carbs too. My daughter and Carol are going to bake stuff. So I'm not scared of carbs anymore. I kind of limit them, but I'm not scared of them.
And carbs, as long as they're good quality ones, people think of carbs and it kind of has a bad name, but like rice is carbs, like sweet potatoes are carbs, like these are still carb sources, but carbs in the evening too will help you sleep. So I think for a while we were doing a balanced meal in the evening with you, like a protein carb meal, because you'll make more sleep hormones the more carbs you're having in the evening. But yeah, and the first thing you put in your system in the day is important, because we always tell our patients that sets the tone for the day. So if you have a really high carb meal the first thing in the day, your blood sugar goes way up high and then it drops. And every time it drops, you're going to look for more sugar or carb. So you're going to be on that roller coaster for the day, mood, energy, up and down all day. Whereas if you start your day with a high protein, high healthy fat, a little bit of carb, like the patient I had yesterday, she's doing smoked salmon, avocado on a rice cake. She does 2 of those in the morning. She was the one who used to do just caffeine right after.
Okay.
And she's like, feel fantastic, like feels so good. And if you eat a well-balanced meal in the morning, it also prevents you from overeating at night. Because your body's going to want a certain amount of calories at some point in the day. So if you don't eat all day, you're going to look for all those things at night, which is then the wrong time. Your digestive system's off. Your insulin's not sensitive at night. You can't process the carbs. You're going to store it all as fat. So you're better off to have balanced meals throughout the whole day. And if you had to angle it, maybe a little more carb at night, a little less carb in the morning, just to kind of.
Okay, so here's where I'm cheating then right now, because I think in the morning I'm having a smoothie in the morning that's coconut water, beef protein, a pretty high quality, like grass-fed beef protein with cocoa. It's like a natural chocolate flavored beef protein with blueberries, strawberries, and sometimes I'll drop in a banana. So there's coconut water, blueberries, strawberries, banana, and the beef protein with collagen. Yeah, and then I'll put in creatine and L-glutamine.
Perfect. Amazing.
So that's my morning, but I think I'm cheating because I keep increasing the fruits. Because I'm like, I'll just have a little bit more blueberry. I'll have a little bit more strawberry. So like no, you don't think so? No? Okay. So nothing scares you? Because I don't think I've reported that to you. I've been keeping that top secret.
No. It's good. That's a great way to start the day. You're going to have yeah, you're going to get a lot of energy from that. You're going to feel satiated. You're probably not going to feel like you're on that roller coaster of hunger all day.
Yeah, it seems to do well and the beef protein for my body seems to process pretty easily. Like I feel good on it.
Yeah,
More so than whey. I'm not bad with whey, but I feel beef for me just sits better.
For sure. Yeah. And I do the beef protein as well. Like I don't test, I react poorly to dairy. So I don't have any dairy. And if I have a lot of it, I know that I'm not going to be able to operate at a high level that day. I just know, like if we go for ice cream as a family, the next day I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be as sharp. And I'm like you, most days I have to be pretty sharp. So I very rarely will do that. But yeah, the beef protein is a great option. The coconut water is really good in there too, because you're getting that hydration and you're getting all the electrolytes in the morning, which is good.
Okay, cool.
Good thing in there for sure.
Yeah, I stumbled upon this mix. I don't know how stuff you've said over the years, and I think Dan had some at the gym, some beef protein that I mixed in, and then I think, but you know what? We're going to check my blood again, and I delayed it because I'm so brutal at getting the blood test done. That's on me. But I'm really curious on what is creatine? Is that the same thing? A different way to say the word, or no?
Creatinine, it's called on a blood test, is like it's like a kidney marker. Okay. It'll go high if you take in a lot of creatine.
Okay, because I think before you told me to dial back the creatine because that marker was a bit high. So I'm curious because now I've been taking it. It's been, I guess, over a year, pretty steady. I'm curious to see what you're going to tell me when we get that blood work back.
Yeah. Typically not a concern if creatinine goes a little higher, as long as your kidney.
Oh, really?
Is good. Yeah, it's not a big concern. Yeah.
Okay.
But creatine's a great one. I mean, we've been using that for years with people, right? Because there's so much good research on it. But creatine, people think of it for working out and things, but prevents cognitive decline. It basically gives your cells energy, right? So muscle cells, heart cells, brain cells, whatever it may be. But really good research lately on like dementia prevention, Alzheimer's prevention.
So someone in their 50s and 60s still keep going with the creatine, men and women, or no?
Both definitely.
5 milligrams a day, still the
somewhere between 3 and 5 grams.
Is grams. Sorry, I said milligrams.
Yeah, and creatine comes from like protein, like animal protein sources anyway. So it's not this like artificial thing that your body's not used to. But yeah, about 3 to 5 grams is a good dose for most people, probably closer to 3. But yeah, it's a great thing long term. And for any athletes, creatine is a no-brainer. Improves your muscle endurance, muscle output.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you can do it anytime. It can be before or after training. There's no timing thing with creatine, just anytime.
Okay. Something that I've really taken away from you that's helped me a lot is I just now know that if I'm going through different times of the year, I won't be at the gym as much. So I'm traveling in the summer in Europe, I'm just naturally not at the gym as much. I'm feeling amazing, by the way, though, because like my feet are on the sand or the nice stones of the Adriatic. I have the sunshine in the salt water, eating my fish, having my espresso with my hands in there. I feel like $1 million, a month of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can conquer the world. But what I do now know is that if I'm hitting the gym harder, which I am right now a little bit, I know to be careful to monitor my meals a bit more, because if I get busy and for whatever reason I miss carbs a few days in a row and I'm lifting heavier again, I know I just beat down all my systems, like my hormone system. It just starts getting beat down. So now from all of this work over the last 8 years with you, I just know like, oh geez, you know what? I need to eat enough in these days. Otherwise it seems to compound. And then I don't necessarily need to, if I'm not at the gym as much, I can lighten up on the carb. I can actually go almost close to like no rice if I don't want to on some days and that kind of thing, or sweet potatoes, and just stick with the fruits to get some carb, and that's it. So it's helped me adapt.
Like if you're just walking and doing things leisurely in Croatia and things like that, you don't need to like load your muscles with glycogen and stuff. But if you're heavy lifting and you want to be explosive in the gym, like CrossFit or training for a sport specific training, you want to load your muscles with glycogen or carb so you can be explosive in the movements. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you're doing CrossFit, like the stuff you guys are doing, you're definitely going to need a carb to be able to keep those workouts going. Otherwise your muscle has no fuel for it to move, right?
Dan's changed it a little bit for us. We're doing a little bit more classic weightlifting with like a smaller kind of CrossFit workout at the end, just, some assault bike and rowing, some wall balls and that kind of stuff. I'm curious. I get a lot of questions on electrolytes.
Yep.
What could you call, like, should everybody be taking electrolytes? Do we not? What are they? Why are they something to think about?
Yeah. So, I mean, anyone who's sweating, for sure, you want to use electrolytes. So if you work out and you're sweating, you want to replace that. So electrolytes pull water into your cells. So sodium, potassium. Sodium's the main electrolyte. Sodium, potassium, bicarb, chloride. There's a couple. But that's why the coconut water you're using is so good, because it's the exact profile of human blood in terms of electrolytes. Coconut water is a match. Yeah, okay. Which is kind of cool. But really, any electrolyte would be good for most people to use because it just improves your hydration. Like everyone knows to drink water, right? But you can have slightly less water intake with electrolytes and be more effective. If that makes sense.
Because you want your muscles to be hydrated. If they're not hydrated, it's kind of like it prevents the blood flow and the nutrients coming through the blood flow through the muscle to get muscle growth and recovery and that kind of thing. Is that one way to say it?
Yeah, you want to have the muscle fibers hydrated so they can move, right? Otherwise, they're kind of sticky and it's hard to move your muscles.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to have them hydrated, and electrolytes are a good way to do it. In the morning's an easy way too, because overnight you're sort of getting into a bit of a dehydrated state. So that's why I like you're doing the coconut water with that shake in the morning, because you're getting the hydration from that, plus the protein, plus the fats. You're doing glutamine, creatine, collagen. Collagen is another great one for people. Collagen peptides for joint health, like long term. Like you can make big changes in joint health. Like, people, when you get older, you're stiffer, you're more sore, your joints are sore.
I hear that from friends all the time. I don't have that right now. Like I don't feel that.
Yeah, even for athletes who are training really hard, I mean, that's a no-brainer for athletes too, collagen, because it makes your tendons and ligaments stronger.
Okay.
So if you're lifting a lot of muscle, the weak point is going to be the tendon or ligament, right? Usually the muscle's not going to get damaged, but the tendon and ligament will. So you can strengthen connective tissue there. Collagen peptides also are for the gut. So intestinal tissue, hair, skin, and nails. But electrolytes I think are good for everybody, and especially if you're sweating a lot, to get maximum hydration. You want to be drinking about half your body weight in ounces of water. And then if you put electrolytes with some of that, then you'll be at full hydration.
And is there something to watch for electrolytes? Like, can I just throw some salt in the water and does that count or no?
Yeah, you can do that too. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. You can just be salt in there. That would do it. Salt's the main driver. Sodium's the main driver of it. But yeah, so if you're 180 pounds, you want to have 90 ounces of water per day to get fully hydrated, which is 3 liters. And then if you put electrolytes with some of that water, you'll be at full
hydrated. Because I'm way less than that. I know just personally. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe electrolytes are offsetting that. Yeah.
Yeah. The mistake people make is they just drink tons of water. Like I have someone who is drinking 5 or 6 liters of water a day, which is like, it becomes ineffective. You're just peeing it out. But you're better off to have some electrolytes with the good amount of water.
Yeah,
right?
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I have to get this blood work done. So I really want you to take a look at it, because there's other stuff too that you've told me over the years. Like we didn't talk about me giving blood. That was really helpful. But maybe we'll do that another time. So I'm just curious. And now, how are you have a team. How are you working with people? Can you share with everyone? Is it like online, remote? Like what's the latest with your office and your team?
Yeah, we do both. So we have 5 doctors on our team right now. We're going to have our other one's on mat leave. She's going to come back probably in January. So we'll have 6 of us.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And we all practice the same way. We look at the same things the same way. We have the same approach. And we did that on purpose just because we know what's effective over the years. So we work with people either virtually, like video conference, like we are, anyone in Ontario, or people can come into the clinic and kind of sit down and meet with people. We do everything where it's customized and tailored to the individual. We also do some cool stuff, IV therapy. We do some IV.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the IV. Yeah, that's right.
We do facial rejuvenation acupuncture, which is like a natural facelift. We have a lot of people coming to do that, business people and people who just want to look and feel, look fresh and feel younger, right? And then we have a mental performance coach and then a strength and conditioning coach to get your workouts kind of in line with what you should be doing. So we have a whole team, and we have some new programs coming out too. We just launched our new website actually, which is phenomhpm.com. And we have 8 new programs for people too, which are very specific to the needs of certain things. So we have a high performer program, we have an anti-aging one, we have a male hormone, female hormone, weight loss, gut health, thyroid, and first responder program as well. So some cool kind of special.
You have first responder program because first responders just get beat down.
Yeah. And I was on staff with Peel Police for 2 or 3 years on their medical team.
Oh, got
So
it. Cool.
I was working with all the officers and TAC unit and everybody there, and you get to see kind of the issues they deal with, especially the shift work and the stressors of the job. So we have a specific program for them as well.
Okay, cool. I really appreciate you doing this and sharing this, and just how much I know you've helped out Rockstar members over the years. We always get good feedback from everyone who engages with you guys. So I appreciate what you've done for me and my family. So I just thank you for everything that you're doing and sharing. And I think it just gives you a bit of confidence in your ability to understand what's going on with yourself. Whereas before, I feel like I was in a bit of a fog, like take this coffee, put butter in it, take these pills and do this and it'll be better. Whereas you didn't, it's kind of like investing in real estate or understanding the financial system or understanding something like Bitcoin, Dr. Cowan. Understand the principles at the foundational level, then things can make sense. Exactly. And before I was trying to it's kind of like everything we talk about, like in business and in marketing and everything, we're always talking about like there's principles, strategies, and tactics. Most people do the tactics. They don't even have a strategy, and they definitely don't understand the principles. Well, that's what was my past approach, was tactics. I was like, take coffee, put butter, coconut oil, do this, and you taught me the principles that I should be focused on. So I'm very great because it's in line with everything we believe about life, but I was just doing it the wrong way with my body and my health. And I'm not perfect at it, but you've got me so far along the path. Like it's been amazing.
And a lot of people spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money on a lot of different things that are not really going to be effective, so it's like and most people, what we find is it's not a lack of effort. It's a lack of knowing the right strategies that are going to make the big changes. So we can isolate down, okay, do this. It's going to give you a big improvement in these areas. Do this. Whereas a lot of the people are doing stuff that's like the frilly outside stuff that doesn't really do anything. It's like,
I think as I get older, I have less patience for people in general, because people tell me stuff now and I'm like, so what are you doing? Like, I don't understand what you're doing. You're not operating with an information advantage. Go get the data on your body. And then it's not overwhelming. It does take a little bit of time, granted, to engage with like someone like you guys and take the tests and get the data. It's a bit of a process. It's going to take you a little while, but the coming out the other end is you're just so much better off for it. I'm always confused why people don't go down it. But anyway, that's my problem.
Yeah, people start to understand, like, if things are going off track, they're like, okay, this is because of this, or like a lot of the NHL guys, like as soon as the season ends. So I work with on staff with the team, but I also have a whole bunch of NHL guys I work with, like, that are private. They'll message as soon as their season's over. Like as soon as they're coming back from their team, they'll be like, can you send me my saliva test, send me my blood work, or I'm going to go, right as soon as I get home, I want to go get everything checked, because they know when things are off and where they could be at.
Yeah,
like they know where the peak is.
Yeah.
So then we can kind of fix everything in the off season and do all that stuff, right? But it's all fun. Like this stuff's all fun for us because we enjoy seeing people get amazing results, right? Like that's fun. And then we know what things to move that are going to do that and teach people along the way. So it's kind of like what you guys are doing, teaching people, educating.
Trying. Yeah, we're all trying. So Phenom, 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 HPN, Phenom, HPM, that stands for High Performance Medicine at the end, PhenomHPM.com. And then are you on Instagram as well? You are, right?
Yeah, so mine is Phenom_doc.
Okay.
So Phenom_doc. We have a clinic page as well. Phenom HPM is the page.
Okay. Great.
And we do free discovery calls for people too, like with any of our staff. Like if you just have questions or you want to know, like.
So you can book that off the website?
Yeah, just book it off the website. Okay. Yeah, we have a whole section of free discovery call. You can book and talk to. You get to actually talk to one of our doctors too. It's not like you're talking to some random, but you can have questions lined up. Or if you, I'm not sure if this is for you, but. Yeah, we're confident we can help most people improve aspects of their health and performance. So
yeah, awesome, Dr. Cowan. Thanks for this, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.